Today, we're doing something a bit different.
Right?
Instead of wading through a pile of research, we're focusing on just one really concentrated message. It's a statement aimed squarely at school leaders.
Mm-hmm. A value proposition, really. And these leaders, well, they're under immense pressure for results.
Exactly. So any promise made to them has to be solid.
Absolutely. So we're going to use the broader research background we have to unpack this specific text, this foundational promise. Let me read that core text so we're all on the same page.
Please do.
It says, for school leaders, evidence-based results. As a school leader, you are accountable for results. Our methodology was born from a master's thesis at the University of Helsinki, where students using our personalized, gamified approach not only excelled, but began to intuitively grasp complex patterns.
Okay, quite a start.
It continues. We provide a solution that delivers measurable improvements in student engagement and academic outcomes. This gives your institution a distinct competitive advantage, providing clear data points for stakeholder reporting and a powerful story for attracting new families. Our platform isn't just another tool, it's a strategic partner in achieving educational excellence and differentiating your school in a competitive market.
Wow. Okay, that packs a lot in. High-stakes promises indeed.
Definitely.
So our mission today is to decode that, get behind the language, especially those big claims like intuitively grasp complex patterns. We need to see, how the science they mentioned actually supports the strategy they're offering.
Right. It's about connecting the dots between the research and the real-world value for a leader.
Let's start right at the beginning then. That origin story, the master's thesis at the University of Helsinki. Why is that specific starting point so important for their core claim of scientific validity, evidence-based results?
Well, it does a couple of things right away. First, it positions the methodology outside, let's say, the typical tech startup narrative.
Ah, not just another app from Silicon Valley.
Precisely. It signals academic rigor from the outset. It suggests this started with educational science, not just code. And that origin point, it's really a fusion of three critical pillars.
Okay, what are those three?
So first, you've got Nobel Prize-winning cognitive science, thinkers like Herbert Simon, who studied how experts actually develop intuition and handle complexity. Real foundational stuff on learning.
Right, deep science.
Second, there's the PISA-winning Finnish pedagogy. Finland's approach, consistently praised by PISA for focusing on deep understanding, problem solving, not just memorizing facts for a test.
Okay, pedagogy meets cognitive science. And the third?
That's the adaptive AI, the technology layer that makes it scalable and personalized. So the fusion means they started by asking, how does the brain really learn effectively? And then how do we build tech to support that?
That order matters.
It totally matters. It underpins that evidence-based claim. It wasn't tech looking for a problem, but science finding a delivery mechanism.
That makes sense. For a leader facing accountability, that distinction is probably quite important, but, sometimes things born in academia can feel a bit dry.
Yes, potentially.
And the statement promises a personalized, gamified approach. We hear those words everywhere in EdTech. How do we know this isn't just like marketing spin on digital drills?
That's a fair question. And the science actually dictates why those elements are there. They aren't add-ons, they're built in based on specific psychological principles.
Okay, let's break that down then. Personalization first. How does the science make it deeper than just, hello, student name?
Right, it goes way beyond that. It leverages something called the self-relevance effect. The system uses what they term deep personalization.
Deep personalization, meaning?
Meaning it actively weaves the user's own context into the learning. So if you're a teacher, maybe it's using scenarios based on your specific grade level or subject. If you're a school leader using it for professional development, maybe it's tackling a simulated budget crisis that mirrors your actual district's size and demographics.
So it feels immediately applicable.
Exactly. The brain pays way more attention to things that are directly relevant to me and my world. Abstract examples get tuned out. Personal relevance strengthens how information is encoded, which means better retention. Much better.
Okay, that makes it stickier. But making it relevant doesn't automatically make it engaging, especially if it's challenging. What about the gamified part? What's driving the motivation engine?
That's where they bring in self-determination theory. This is a really well-established framework in psychology from Deci and Ryan. It basically says that for humans to be intrinsically motivated, like genuinely wanting to do something, especially something hard, 3 fundamental psychological needs have to be met.
Okay, what are those 3 needs? And how does this platform supposedly, engineer ways to meet them?
So the first need is competence. feeling like you're capable and effective.
Right.
The platform fosters this by setting challenging but achievable tasks, aiming for a high mastery score, like 90%. But crucially, it provides immediate, detailed diagnostic feedback on every little step.
So you constantly see yourself improving.
Yes, you feel that sense of growing mastery, objectively. It's not just a vague sense of, I think I get this.
Okay, competence. What's the second need?
Autonomy, the need to feel like you have control and choice.
Makes sense.
The system does this by offering choices. Maybe you choose which specific topic to focus on next, or perhaps you get stuck and can select a different type of explanation. It gives the user agency, so they feel like they're steering, not just being pushed along a track.
All right. Competence, autonomy. And the third?
Relatedness, the need to feel connected. Now, in a digital platform, this is interesting.
Yeah, how does that work without, like, group projects?
It seems they foster it through the platform's consistent, authoritative voice and presence. It's designed to feel like you're interacting with or being guided by experts. They even mention the co-founder. It creates a sense of being personally mentored.
Like a reliable guide.
Exactly. So competence, autonomy, relatedness, they're trying to hit all three triggers for sustained intrinsic motivation based on that established theory. It's engineering engagement, not just sprinkling points on top.
Okay, that framework makes the personalized and gamified claim sound much more robust than typical buzzwords. But let's shift to the student outcome claim. This one feels like the most ambitious, that students began to intuitively grasp complex patterns.
Yes, that's a big one.
That's moving beyond just knowing things to, well, expert-level thinking.
Yeah.
How on earth do you engineer intuition?
Well, engineer might be strong, but they definitely have a deliberate cognitive architecture designed to foster it. It seems to happen in two main stages.
Okay, walk us through stage one.
Stage one is all about deep learning. The core idea is to make the knowledge really durable, not fragile. So for every single concept, the user engages with a lot of practice. The source mentions up to 100 science-based deep learning tasks.
100 tasks per concept. That sounds intensive.
It is. But crucially, these aren't just simple multiple-choice questions. They're described as active cognitive maneuvers, things like retrieval practice, forcing yourself to explain concepts in your own words, mapping causal relationships, using visuals alongside text, what's called dual coding.
So really working the brain in different ways.
Exactly. This intense, varied practice, combined with that personalization we talked about, forces the brain to build strong, interconnected neural pathways for that concept. It's about moving knowledge from your shaky short-term memory into your long-term usable knowledge base, designed to last for years, they claim.
Okay, so stage one builds a really solid, durable foundation. What happens in stage two to get to that intuition?
Stage two is where mastery emerges. After all that deep practice, the brain starts to do something remarkable. It begins to automatically recognize the underlying complex patterns within the information.
Ah, so it's not just seeing facts, but the connections between them.
Precisely. This is what Nobel laureate Herbert Simon famously called chunking. Experts don't see lots of little bits of information. They see meaningful chunks, patterns, relationships.
Can you give an example, like outside of academics?
Sure. Think about an expert chess player versus a beginner. The beginner sees individual pieces and maybe their next move. The grandmaster instantly sees patterns. Oh, that's a Sicilian defense setup, or this structure allows for a potential knight fork. They've chunked thousands of hours of practice into these instantly recognizable patterns.
So they see the whole board differently.
Completely differently, and that allows for much faster, more accurate decision-making. This platform aims to systematically build those chunks, that expert pattern recognition, through that intensive stage one practice.
So intuitively grasp complex patterns means achieving that state of chunking, of expert pattern recognition.
That seems to be the cognitive mechanism they're describing, yes.
And the measurable academic outcome isn't just, say, a higher score on a definition quiz, but a shift in how students actually process and apply the information, moving from fragile recall to durable, intuitive application.
Exactly. From basic learning to deep learning that fosters that expert-like intuition.
Which brings us neatly back to the school leader, because that kind of outcome is what they need to show. The statement says the platform delivers measurable improvements, clear data points for stakeholder reporting, and a powerful story for attracting new families.
Right, connecting the internal cognitive shifts to the external strategic needs of the school.
So how does this deep learning and intuition translate into those clear data points a leader needs for, say, a board meeting?
Well, remember those hundreds of micro tasks for deep learning. Each one is apparently high diagnosticity. It doesn't just say right or wrong, it pinpoints understanding, and it provides instant graded feedback. This generates incredibly detailed, granular data on student competence. Not just did they log in, but have they actually mastered this concept to a 90% level? And critically, this process helps counteract the Dunning-Kruger effect.
The Dunning-Kruger effect, where people who don't know much think they know a lot.
Exactly. Students, especially those struggling, often drastically overestimate their understanding. This platform, by forcing deep engagement and giving constant objective feedback, helps give both the student and the school leader a much more accurate picture of actual competence.
So fewer unpleasant surprises on high-stakes tests or reports.
Precisely. The leader gets objective data points, mastery levels on specific skills, long-term retention rates, maybe even metrics related to that pattern recognition that they can confidently take to stakeholders. It's proof of learning, not just seat time.
Okay, that covers the data points. What about the powerful story for attracting new families? How does this internal stuff become a competitive advantage?
That comes directly from the uniqueness of the claimed outcome. If a school can credibly say, we don't just teach content, we engineer the ability to master complex material and develop expert intuition faster, that's a very different story.
It's selling a superior learning process, not just content coverage.
Exactly. In a competitive market where families are looking for differentiation, promising to build students who can learn how to learn, who can achieve that kind of intuitive grasp that's potentially a very powerful differentiator, it's the distinct competitive advantage mentioned in the text.
And finally, it calls the platform a strategic partner. That sounds like more than just buying software.
It does. It implies a deeper level of integration, and the broader sources suggest this is partly because the AI can apparently ingest a school's existing curriculum materials, textbooks, local standards, teacher-created resources.
Oh, so it doesn't force schools to ditch everything they're already doing.
Yeah. Right. It aims to take their existing content and transform it into these dynamic, deep learning experiences. So it becomes a partner in enhancing what they already do, supercharging the understanding of their curriculum, rather than just replacing it. That supports the idea of strategic partnership for overall educational excellence.
Okay, so pulling it all together, this deep dive into just that one statement suggests a really thought-through value proposition for school leaders.
It seems so.
It starts with accountability, grounds itself in cognitive science and pedagogy from reputable sources like Helsinki and Nobel research, uses psychological principles for motivation and personalization.
Right, the self-relevance and self-determination stuff.
To drive students towards not just knowing things, but developing that expert intuition, that chunking ability.
Which then translates into the measurable results and the competitive story leaders need. It's a chain of logic.
Got a very deliberate architecture.
And it seems that partnership idea extends even further. The sources also mention specialized professional development using this same methodology aimed at school leaders and teachers themselves.
No, so leaders can use it to improve their own complex skills.
Apparently so. The idea is that the system accelerates knowledge acquisition and mastery, even in those really tricky, ill-structured domains that leaders deal with, not just academic subjects.
Which leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you, the listener. If the ultimate promise here is about accelerating your ability to master any complex new skill, learning how to learn, faster and deeper, think about the challenges you face as a leader. The sources mention things like advancing equity and leadership, crisis management, teaching traumatized students. These are incredibly complex areas.
Absolutely critical and difficult.
So the question is, if this kind of system can genuinely engineer the cognitive strategies for rapid expert intuition, what could that potential cognitive upgrade mean for your ability to tackle those huge, complex leadership challenges? If mastery itself can be accelerated, how much faster could you transform your own capabilities in the areas that matter most for schools today?